Sentry mode activated. Target acquired.
Hey there, hunters. Still going down my list of build videos I need to do for Remnant. Sorry, slow process, I know. Still kind of going through it though. I'll get around to doing most things eventually. Just bear with me here. But they keep patching the game as well, so stuff is already changing and different. Like the last of it I did about mod power setups, I mentioned that I didn't really like Alternator, but now it holds 2 charges on its mod, and that changed yesterday. So like, what the fuck? So who knows how things are going to be in the future. I mean, I do expect them to nerf melee punching and leeching because it's insane right now. Probably other tanking options as well, so I probably won't cover that stuff until I know it's kind of stable. But yeah, so who knows what's going on in the future, so just keep in mind I will try to update things with patches and whatnot. But yeah, so what I say today might not be even correct tomorrow. Anyway, that's all filler talk. We all know what's going on today, and that is shotguns, my absolute favorite. Shotguns and mod setups are my jam, so I'm going to get those out of the way ASAP. There's not a whole lot to talk about here since y'all pretty much play the same. It's a shotgun, you point and click, it's got a cone. But we can cover the different types of shotguns and the associating armors and trinkets, as I'm kind of flashing the builds on the screen and stuff. You can kind of see what I'm playing with, and hopefully you get the gist of it. So let's start with the actual shotguns, and the several we have to choose from are the Sawed-Off, the Coach Gun, the Shotgun, the Repulsor, and the Spore Bloom. Each have their own advantages and disadvantages, so let's kind of discuss them briefly. The Sawed-Off is the new addition for this DLC. It's a handgun option that has a free mod slot, so whoopee, and the rate of fire on this gun is insane. It's easily the strongest weapon in the game just due to its high damage output and its rate of fire. However, it does have significant downsides. The main offender here is the range. It's only got a 5 meter optimal range, which basically means if you're not touching it with your gun, you're not going to be doing full damage. You can remedy this with a Hunter's Halo ring, which puts its range out to 11 meters, which is actually pretty crazy. While I wouldn't use this on bosses since you can usually get in close enough on them to actually get full damage, having this ring for general world clearing is amazing. And the reticle size for this thing is small enough that even at those medium ranges, you can still hit pretty accurately. Now the second offense is that the reload speed is actually horrible for its 3-round clip size. It takes forever to reload. So while this gun is a great thing for burst damage, you really need to do something about that reload speed to make it consistent. Something like Gunslinger's Charm, Provisioner's Ring, or Celerity Stone can all help with that though. Next we have the Coach Gun, which is my favorite weapon in the game. It's got literally everything I want in a gun. So the clip size is 2, which is fine, it's an over-under shotgun, I get it, but it's got a 10 meter range, which is long enough to use effectively at medium range. This was a recent buff. It used to be a 7.5 meter range, which felt pretty bad because that's the same as the shotgun, so it's like, why would you use it? The spread on this gun is also very tight, making it actually useful at those ranges too. Compared to something like the Sawed-Off with the Hunter's Halo, it's just more consistent. You don't need a ring to back it up, and it's great. It also did get a recent buff to its spread, so it's a little tighter than it was before. If you're using this several months ago, it might feel better now. And finally, the reload speed on this thing is actually very fast. Like, look at this thing. So overall, I just love it. I'm sure it's not the best gun in most cases, but it's just a good jack of all trades gun. It can be used in any situation. I cannot express how much I love this gun. You'll see me using this on pretty much every type of build I'm going to be using. It's just my go-to weapon. Now we have the actual shotgun. It's got shorter range than the Coach Gun, sitting at 7.5 meters as we had mentioned earlier, and has a much larger reticle, so your shots are going to be more spread out. However, the shotgun generates the most mod power out of any weapon. It's fast and it hits hard, and it's just a lot at building up mod power. And it has a very large clip size at 7, and the reload speed, while not the best, isn't terrible. Now the shotgun's larger magazine size makes it perfect to use with the Provisioner's Ring. While you can swap to other weapons, you can quickly fill this thing back up, so you don't actually have to manually reload this thing like at all. I try to fit shotguns into builds where I have range damage covered, or I know I need to be close up for bosses, by pairing it with a Hive Cannon or mods such as Frost Cloud, Ice Spear, stuff like that. It's just really good because you can cover all your grounds. Now this paired with the sawed-off in the Provisioner's Ring is great for shotgun swapping. You can shoot twice with the shotgun, swap to your sawed-off, shoot that once, and then back to your shotgun, and rinse and repeat, and the Provisioners will keep both weapons pretty adequately refilled. Plus, when you use mods, both your weapons are technically stowed, so you can actually regen some ammo that way as well. Now, it's hard for me to take this over the Coach Gun because Coach Gun's my baby, but it's still fantastic. Now, especially if you're using the Iskall Hunter's Band, the 40% spread reduction makes this thing a beast. And I know it's not a damage ring, but trust me, shotguns need to hit all their pellets to deal optimal damage. So in a sense, it kind of is, so don't underestimate consistency. Next up, we have the Repulsor, a very, very underrated gun. Seriously, shooting this thing can be a bit wonky since the reticle tightens as you hold it, so it's not great to spam with it, but holy shit does this thing hit hard. The rate of fire and the clip sizes lets this push out some nasty burst damage. However, the reload speed is horrendous, and the low ammo count, or at least for me it feels low. I feel like I'm always out of ammo with this thing. Anyway, those two things are the only downsides to this gun. A lot of people don't like the mod, which is ludicrous to me because the mod is insanely strong. Not only does it banish any non-boss enemy for 4 seconds, so you have a chance to breathe, heal, kill other enemies, reload, stuff like that, but also puts a debuff on them, which makes you do 1.6 times damage with a repulsor against them. That's an insane amount of buff. Like 1.6 times damage for 8 seconds, you can just dump a clip into them, they're dead. Even bosses do not stand a chance. Plus, it holds 3 charges on its banish, and you basically always have it up. It generates so fast. It's an amazing gun. And the cherry on top is that in co-op, all players' repulsors get the same damage bonus off the banish. So one player can banish a boss, and everyone's going to get that 1.6 times damage bonus. Please use it in co-op. Now, last shotgun we have is the Spore Bloom. And you know, I used to not like this gun, but since they gave it slow a while back, yeah, it's OP. Spore Bloom's interesting since it's a single shot shotgun, which has 12 pellets in its burst compared to shotgun 7. It also has an ideal range of 9 meters, which is great, but the reticle is so huge that there's really no effective way to use it at that range. Your best bet is to use Iskall Hunter's Band or a piece of Hunter's Armor for some tightening of that spread. Now, Hunter's Halo is actually probably not going to help you because that further ranges, you might only hit like 1 or 2 pellets tops. The pellet spread is just kind of crazy. But if you pair the two, that's a different story. Also, the reload speed isn't very good. You'll want to fix that up the best you can. However, those things aside, it is a terrifying weapon. Not only can you use it with the Slayer setup so you can have big punch shotgun, and the Hunter's Armor, which is straight perfect for this thing, but basically any armor works with this weapon, even Labyrinth Armor. The mod for Spore Bloom can scale super hard, reaching well over 100 damage a tick, plus the slow's amazing. I mentioned it before in the mod power setup video, just a couple days ago. But trust me, it's scary, and the slow stacks freeze, so you can super slow elites if you want to. But it's still a nice dot, and great for boss fights. Clear ads with it, slow them down, save yourself. The only downside to this mod is that it hurts you if you stand in it, and it hurts a lot. So I hate having like Ring of Supremacy, and then having this and accidentally touching it sucks. Other than that though, Spore Bloom's awesome, love this gun, it just punches holes into enemies. Now, for the most part, we'll be using the same sets of rings for all these shotgun builds. Empowering Loop, Ring of Flawless Beauty, Burden of the Gambler, Ring of Supremacy, and Hunter's Band are all there for our damage if you need it. However, don't neglect your support rings. Support rings are very important. Things like the Iskall Hunter's Band, Provisioner's Ring, Celerity Stone, Hunter's Halo are all going to be making your damage more consistent, which is something other weapons don't have to worry about. Now, as far as amulets go, we're only going to be using a few different ones. Polished Whetstone or Razor Wire with Bleed is probably some of the best damage you can get. I always try to fit one of those in. Abrasive Charm is also very nice since you can often apply Bleed and Corrosion at the same time if you're using the claws. Gunslinger Charm is always fucking amazing. Fire rate and reload speed are both very important for shotguns. Don't pass this one up. Onyx Pendulum, if you're going to be using shotgun swapping, is the best damage you can get in that case. And I guess if you don't have any of these, Heart of Darkness, since it's just flat damage. But play around with whatever you like. Now, any combination of these trinkets will probably work out just fine. Just make sure you're using some of these. Hive Cannon Primary is also another option you can use for corrosion as well. You don't have to run double shotguns. It's just style points, so I'm using it. But yeah, All right, so the shotguns and trinkets aside, let's talk about the armors you're going to be using with them. Basically, anything works. Shotguns are very versatile. They have a lot of options. Like, Hunter's Armor is clearly built for shotguns. It's got range damage, weak spot damage, weapon spread. This is the go-to armor, and it's never going to be a bad choice. If you just want fat hits and consistency, go this route. This holds true to basically any range focus setup, to be honest. Hunter's Armor is just crazy. Then we have Drifters, which seems like an odd choice, but it's really good. It's got similar damage compared to Hunters after all buffs and calcs are considered, but it also has a lot of stamina regen and is focused around sprinting, which is great because shotguns have to get in close, so these two just pair well and synergize very well. Now, Ocs Armor I'm using here in a few cases because the damage buff is very high, and you can keep it applicated with melee weapons, and since I like using the bleed combo with Whetstone, I can also keep Ocs up at the same time. So I'm using Claws to apply bleed, which keeps Ocs active, which keeps Whetstone active, and just bigger crits, bigger damage, again, just really good synergy, and then we're just using the shotguns to punch holes into enemies. Now, Void Armor is also just good all-around armor, and I have a mod spam and shotgun swapper mixed setups using this, scaling both mods and range damage. It's kind of funky, to be honest. It's more of a jack of all trades kind of thing. It's good at ad clear with mods. It has good burst damage, good range. Overall, it's really strong, but with all the weapon swapping and mod swapping, it's kind of difficult to play. So I wouldn't really recommend it to most people, especially when you could just play the typical Labyrinth Armor mod swapper. It's still good, and it's really fun when you get the hang of it. It looks super flashy, and it is fun, which is why I like using it, but it's not the best. Now, Warlord Armor is in a similar boat. While the damage bonus is monstrous and clearly the best boosting armor in the game, and the leech is insane, I just don't really like it. Having to keep track of the Dragonheart buff is just one more thing I have to look into at the bottom of my bar to keep track of, and you can kill yourself in the open fields if there's no enemies around, and it's just tedious to keep applying it. I mean, it's good. In fact, it's probably the best armor in the game. It's just annoying. So I won't be using this pretty much ever outside of like using it in videos for demonstration. But if you're okay with it, this is the strongest armor. And the last armor, which is my personal favorite, is Bandit Armor. It's spare shot armor, and that's all RNG. That's how good it is. So most people don't like it, plus it gives no damage bonuses, but yeah, I mean, have you seen Sawed Off and Coach Gun with this thing? Like, here it is versus Jackal on Apocalypse. It can get crazy, but obviously it's not consistent. Still though, very fun armor, has light evades compared to most armors that are mediums, and it looks cool. It's just my go-to armor. So Bandit, Coach Gun, that is my setup. Now, I know I kind of formatted this video differently, but since we're using pretty much the same weapons and setups, it's probably better just to explain why and what works to shotguns rather than talk about all the different builds, because they're all pretty much the same. Now, you can kind of mix and match here and make your own playstyle, so just do that. Give it a shot. Gun. Okay, whatever, I'm done. So yeah, that's shotguns, my favorite weapons in the game. Thank you all for watching, and good luck out there, hunters, and whatever you may be hunting.